The worst lies don't hide in shadows. They hide in routine. For 6 years, William Reeves told himself his wife just loved books. Then he saw a payment he didn't make.
That's my name on a HELOC I never signed for.
Susan left every Thursday evening with a novel in her hand, a confident smile, and a promise to be back by 10. Book club night, William. Don't wait up.
I never questioned it. Not once in 6 years.
But this Thursday, while she was out, the afternoon mail brought a HELOC statement that made the room feel 10 degrees colder.
A payment for $1,200. Processed last month. I never made it.
He checked their savings. The balance was thinner than he remembered. Quietly, methodically, money had been draining away.
The signature on the HELOC looks like mine, but the loops are wrong. A forgery.
William stared at the date of the payment. A Thursday, just like every book club night.
Next Thursday, I'll follow her. I need to see what book club really means.
For 2 days, William moved through the house like a ghost, replaying every Thursday he'd ever given her a goodbye kiss.
She never lets that phone out of her sight anymore. Not even when she's sleeping.
6 years of Thursdays. And tonight was the first time he realized the book she carried never changed. Same dust jacket, same spine.
Book club, she says. And I believed it like a fool. Every single week.
The pitch of her voice when she said, "Don't wait up." He could hear the lie now, a note too high.
Tomorrow, I follow her. No more blind spots. I'll see what book club really means.
Thursday arrived with a quiet sky, and Susan left at 7, the same as ever. She kissed his cheek and walked out with that book.
Just another book club night, Susan. Let's see what page you are really on.
When her car pulled away, so did the last 6 years of blind trust. William took the spare key and started the engine. The road ribboned out before him, dark and wet with recent rain, as he kept 3 car lengths behind Susan's familiar sedan.
I am tailing my own wife like a detective in a cheap novel. And I can't shake the feeling I am about to find something that can't be unfound.
She turned off the main road, past a sign for a defunct textile mill, into a maze of low-slung industrial buildings.
Book clubs don't meet in dead factory zones. What are you doing, Susan?
Her car rolled to a stop outside a brick building, its face blank except for a single barred window, glowing with weak amber light. William pulled over a block away, the engine ticking as it cooled, and watched her step out clutching her trademark novel.
She's holding that book like a shield. Not one page has been turned in years.
A man, then 2 women, approached the door. No one carried a book. Their hands were empty, their expressions closed.
Every Thursday for 6 years, she came here, to this place, and I poured her coffee and said, "Have fun, sweetheart."
William's hands stayed frozen on the wheel, but inside his ribcage something wild knocked against his bones, demanding he open that door. He slipped from the car and crept to the side of the building, finding a low, dust-smeared window. Inside, the air hung thick with smoke. A poker table dominated, stacked with chips and serious faces.
My God, Susan, she's playing poker, and she doesn't look like a beginner.
Susan pushed a stack of red chips forward. The dealer called. Another player laid down a flush. She lost. Her jaw tightened as she reached into her purse and peeled off $100 bills without counting.
That's our money. Every bill is a stolen Thursday, a lie she told my face.
William's breath fogged the glass. Not one person in that room knew he was there, watching his life get bet away. He backed away from the window, stumbled to his car, and drove home on autopilot, the passenger seat, a hollow space beside him. By the time he pulled into the garage, the house was dark, and he couldn't remember a single turn he'd made.
She's going to come home and tell me about book club, and I am going to have to listen without screaming.
He sat in the dark until headlights flooded the drive. Susan came in, kissed his temple, and told him about a novel she loved. He nodded, said nothing, and watched her walk upstairs like she hadn't just gambled away their future.
She looked right at me and lied. I have never seen her face before tonight.
He slept on the edge of the mattress, and when dawn came, he went straight to the study filing cabinet. Behind a divider marked household, he found a folder thick with ELOC statements. Each page bore Susan's exaggerated loops, copying his signature almost perfectly. 2 years of withdrawals, every single one on a Thursday.
2 years, $90,000. She forged my name like she was signing a permission slip.
He spread the papers, added the columns, and the calculator beeped a number that made his stomach turn.
I cannot call the police on my own wife, but this has to stop.
He slid the statements into an envelope and tucked it into his jacket. Whatever came next, he would need proof.
Freeze the line. Call the lawyer. Then figure out how to face the woman I married.
Citizens Trust, Linda Corrigan. How may I help you?
This is William Reeves. There's a HELOC on my house, never authorized. I need it frozen right now.
You didn't sign for it? I'll pull the account. Please hold while I review the file.
The signatures are forged. I am holding the statements. I want every draw stopped before the next payment.
Hard freeze initiated. No further funds. You'll need to file a fraud affidavit to make it permanent.
An affidavit means naming Susan. But I've got 90,000 reasons not to stay sentimental.
He hung up and dialed Paul Lawson, a debt attorney whose firm promised a bulldog approach. The secretary gave him Tuesday at 10. He marked the calendar with a red circle that bled through the page.
Now I sit across from Susan and pretend I still believe in book club while I wait for a lawyer to tell me how deep the damage goes.
Tuesday came, and William sat across from Paul Lawson, a man who charged by the quarter hour and wasted no words.
Forged signatures on a HELOC put this in a gray area. I could argue criminal fraud, or you could handle it civilly.
I don't want her arrested, Paul. I want to stop the bleeding and figure out a way forward that doesn't destroy her.
Then we freeze the line, send a demand letter to cease further draws, and position this as a family matter before a judge.
And if she resists? If she has other debts I haven't found?
Then you may need to consider an irrevocable trust. Move assets beyond her reach before more damage is done.
William slid the forged statements across the polished desk, his hands steady, but his mind screaming for a different solution.
This man is offering me a weapon I can't use. I want to save my marriage, not prosecute it.
He left the office with a heavy folder of options. But back at home, Susan was already dressing for another Thursday, with that book under her arm.
She thinks she's still hidden. But I have a folder full of truth and a lawyer on speed dial. This ends soon.
He waited until Susan's breathing deepened, then returned to the study. This time pulling boxes labeled Tax Archive from the closet floor.
If she's been lying for 6 years, what else is buried in this house that I never thought to look for?
Inside a thick folder marked Credit Union, he found statements he didn't recognize, cash advances listed in bold.
Cash advances at the Grand River Kasi number. 2010. We'd been married 2 years. She was gambling long before the book club started.
He flipped backward. 2008. 2005. Every spring, a fresh round of withdrawals, right before they'd even met.
This didn't start with the book club. It started before she said, I do. Maybe before she even knew my name.
At the bottom of the box, a shoebox filled with casino membership cards, each bearing her name in gold-embossed letters. He picked up the oldest, Diamond Tier Gold Dust Casino, 2005. She had been a high roller for almost 20 years.
The whole marriage was built on sand. Every Thursday, every kiss, every penny I thought we were saving.
He closed the box, and his hands wouldn't stop trembling. 2 decades of hidden illness, and he'd only seen the last 6 years.
I'll give it one more Thursday. Confirm what I already know, then face her with the full picture.
When Thursday came, he left early, parked a block away, and settled in for a final watch. Through the window, the game was fiercer tonight. Susan threw chips like a woman drowning, each hand more desperate than the last. She lost $1,000 in 15 minutes, pulling from a wad of cash that looked thinner than ever. Her face was pale, but she didn't stop.
This is an illness, not a choice. She's sick, but I still have to stop the bleeding before there's nothing left.
He drove home before her, closed the garage quietly, and set the HELOC file on the coffee table in the living room. When she came in, smelling of smoke she'd disguised with perfume, she told him about book club. He said nothing and let her go upstairs. He stayed in the dark, listening to her footsteps fade, then opened the file and rehearsed the words until they cut like a blade.
No more evasion, no more forgiveness, until I hear the truth from her own mouth.
He sat in the armchair, the front door in sight, and waited for the sound of her key in the lock. The silence rubbed too raw. William stood, walked to the garage, and pulled a string of light over a shelf he'd never touched. Behind a can of paint thinner, he found a shoebox labeled Keepsakes, sealed with yellowing tape. Inside, not photos. Casino player cards he'd already seen, but under them, a folded letter on hotel stationery. The letter read, "Dear Miss Reeves, thank you for your exclusive high roller weekend at Silver Oak. Your credit line of $50,000 has been approved."
This is dated 15 years ago, a year before we met. She walked into our marriage already drowning.
The letter mentioned a personal host, weekend comps, and a standing reservation in the Diamond Lounge.
Every memory I have from our first year together, she was gambling behind it. I never had the marriage I thought I did.
He carried the box into the living room and placed it beside the HELOC statements, the two piles now telling one complete story.
The woman I married never existed, but I still have to face the woman I found tonight.
He sank into the armchair, the casino letter in one hand, the forged HELOC in the other, and watched the front door in the dark. The key turned at 9:42, and Susan fluttered in with a rehearsed smile, talking about Virginia Woolf before her coat was off.
You should have come, Bill. The discussion was riveting. I think I finally understand Mrs. Dalloway.
William didn't move. He let her fill the silence until it thinned and cracked. Morning came gray, and William asked her to sit at the table, then laid a single HELOC statement face up. The page trembled under her gaze, the forgery obvious to anyone who knew his hand.
What is this? Some kind of bank statement? Is there a problem?
William didn't answer. He added the casino letter, opened to the high roller credit line.
Where did you get that? That's old. That's nothing.
The denial was already bleeding out before it left her mouth. Her eyes couldn't lie fast enough. William set both hands flat on the papers and waited for her to pick which lie died first. The silence ballooned. Susan's eyes moved from the A-lock to the letter and back, her breath catching each time.
Tell me when it started, Susan. Before the book club, before our wedding, how far back does this go?
I can't. It's been so long. I don't even know where the lie begins anymore.
Then her voice cracked, and the confession spilled out like water through a broken dam.
I have a gambling addiction. I've had it since before I met you. I thought I could stop once we were married, but I couldn't. The HELOC. Yes, I forged your name. The losses were getting too big and I panicked. I never meant to hurt you.
She reached across the table, but William's hand stayed pressed on the papers, unmoving.
Please, Bill, don't leave me. I'll get help. I'll do anything. Just don't walk out that door.
William stared at the woman he'd loved for 15 years, and for the first time, he saw the stranger she'd always been.
I have to choose between abandoning a sick wife and drowning with her, and I am not sure which is the right answer.
The silence stretched a full 60 seconds before William spoke, his voice stripped of anger.
The HELOC is frozen. I spoke to Paul Lawson. I am not pressing charges, Susan, but I won't pretend tomorrow is just another Thursday.
You went to a lawyer. Oh God. I am so sorry, Bill. I never wanted this to touch you.
He pulled a folded brochure from his jacket, a residential addiction program with a waiting list, and a reputation for hard results.
If you enter this program, complete it, and stay in recovery, I'll stay, but I have a condition that isn't negotiable.
Name it. Whatever it is, I'll do it. Just don't give up on me.
Every remaining asset, the savings, the house, the retirement accounts, goes into an irrevocable trust. You won't be able to touch a dime without my signature.
He tapped the brochure with 2 fingers, the sound sharp in the quiet room.
I'll stay, but this trust is the last document I'll ever sign with your name on it. Do you understand what that means?
Susan's hand hovered over the brochure, her whole future compressed into one decision she'd never wanted to make. Susan's hand closed around the brochure, her knuckles white. "I'll go," she whispered, the words cracked and wet.
I've wanted to ask for help for years, but the shame just swallowed me. I didn't think I deserved a way out.
Then we start today. I'll call the intake coordinator while you pack a bag.
He made the call with a steady voice, then drove her to the facility that evening. No kiss goodbye, just a quiet nod. 3 days later, William sat in Paul Lawson's office with a thick trust document and a heavy pen.
Locking her out of our money feels like another betrayal, but I can't let her illness steal anything more.
He signed. The house, the savings, the retirement, all moved into a legal structure Susan couldn't touch without his signature. The residential program was 6 weeks of hard recovery. On discharge day, William waited in the parking lot.
I am scared, Bill. What happens now?
We show up every day together.
The day after discharge, William drove them to a sandstone office building and held the door open without reaching for her hand.
I am Dr. Hart. This room is a no-judgment space. Tell me what brought you here, in your own words.
I lied to my husband for over a decade. I forged his name and gambled away our safety. The shame is heavier than any loss.
I didn't know her, not the real her. I built a life with a shadow. I am here because I still love the person I thought she was.
Dr. Hart let the silence breathe before asking Susan to describe the moment she realized she couldn't stop.
The first time I lost more than I had in my purse. I borrowed from our savings to chase the loss. After that, there was no bottom.
And I never noticed. I kept pouring coffee and kissing her goodbye. What kind of husband doesn't see something like that?
Both of you carried secrets. Susan with her addiction, William with his discovery. Recovery starts with honesty, not blame.
The session ran past the hour. When they stood, neither had won back anything except the dull ache of having told the truth.
We'll be here next week. Both of us.
The weeks hardened into months. Thursday nights now meant metal chairs in a church basement, not a book cover, and a kiss goodbye. Susan stood before the circle, week after week, her voice steadier each time.
Hi, I am Susan, and I am a compulsive gambler. I chased a thrill that cost me more than money.
William sat in the back, never sharing, just memorizing the cadence of her honesty.
She says the right words now, but every morning I check the trust balance like a reflex.
After the meeting, he still couldn't sleep, facing her. The silence between them had its own weight. Between meetings, they rebuilt in silence. Dishes, newspaper, small repairs.
She hasn't gambled in months, but I haven't forgiven her. Those two truths share the same house.
One Thursday, she caught his eye during the Serenity Prayer and held it longer than he was ready for.
It's not trust yet, but it's not the emptiness I drove home with that first night.
He came home early to a dark house. Through the window, he saw Susan across the street inside the convenience store, staring at a lottery machine.
She's frozen in front of that screen, like a deer caught in a light she can't look away from.
Her hand trembled above the button. Then slowly it fell to her side and she stepped back, the ticket unpurchased.
I saw you, Susan, at the machine.
I almost bought one. The urge hit me out of nowhere, and I just stood there.
What made you stop?
I thought of your face when you showed me the HELOC statement. The shame was bigger than the craving.
You told me before I had to ask. That's what matters right now. That's what we build on.
They stood on the sidewalk as the streetlight flickered on, the distance between them smaller than it had been in months, the air finally breathable.
I don't want to hide anymore, Bill. Even when it's ugly.
The next morning, in Dr. Hart's office, Susan held nothing back.
I stood at that lottery machine for a full minute, feeling the pull. But I saw Bill's face in my mind and chose to walk away.
That's a profound moment of agency, Susan. What do you think made the shift possible?
The shame is still there, but it's no longer the loudest voice. I don't want to lose what we're trying to rebuild.
I almost gave up on her, on us, a dozen times. Hearing this, it hurts less than it did yesterday.
The words cracked something open in the room. Two people who'd been strangers in the same bed, finally meeting.
I married you twice, Susan. Once the woman I thought I knew, and once the woman I just met standing outside a convenience store.
Susan's hand found his on the cushion between them, and neither pulled away.
I am terrified I'll slip again. But I won't hide it if I do. You'll be the first to know.
Then we'll keep working. That's what recovery looks like.
3 months later, William sat before Paul Lawson again. But this time he signed a single page instead of a stack.
A joint household account, $2,000. Enough for groceries, not casinos. A rope thrown across the chasm.
That afternoon, he handed Susan the checkbook and watched her hold it like a precious, dangerous thing.
You trust me with this?
I trust the woman who walked away from the lottery machine. The other one still has to earn it.
A full year passed without a single bet. At home, the silence was no longer heavy, and the metal chairs in the GA basement no longer separated them. One evening, William came home and found a flyer on the coffee table. A real book club. West Side Readers. Wednesdays at 7.
She rebuilt the words. This time, they're real.
I thought maybe I could finally join a club that actually reads something.
William looked at the flyer, then at her, and for the first time in 2 years, the corners of his mouth lifted without trying. 1 year to the day after her last bet. Susan stood in the church basement, while the room filled with quiet applause for her anniversary chip.
I am Susan, and I am a compulsive gambler. A year ago, I almost caved at a lottery machine, but I walked away, and I've been walking ever since.
Her voice didn't crack anymore. It carried the weight of hard-won truth.
I am standing because my husband refused to let me drown. He threw a rope when I was sinking, and every morning I decide to hold it.
In the back row, William's eyes burned with unshed tears, his hands clasped tightly in his lap.
I gave her a HELOC statement and a brochure. She turned them into a year.
When the circle broke, they walked to the car without speaking, the autumn air clean between them for the first time. Susan opened her hand to reveal the 1-year chip, its surface worn from a year of clutching.
The woman I first married is gone. The one beside me fought for her life, and I am finally proud to know her.
As they reached the car, the silence between them wasn't empty. It was full of the things they no longer needed to say. They drove home through empty streets, the anniversary chip resting between them on the dashboard. Inside, the house settled into the quiet of a place that had learned to hold peace instead of secrets. Susan picked up the novel from the coffee table, the one with the spine that finally showed wear. She tucked her feet under her and found the dog-eared page, her lips moving silently with the lines.
Not the Shield. A real book with words she'd actually remember.
He sat beside her, the cushion dipping with his weight, the inches between them fragile. Then his arm rose, slow and deliberate, and settled across her shoulders. She didn't look up, but the tension in her neck melted beneath his wrist. The book stayed open, but for a long moment, neither of them moved to turn a page. The story they were in was finally one they both knew how to read. The house stood against the dusk, a rectangle of light in a softening world. On the fridge, the flyer hung from a magnet. West Side Readers, Wednesdays at 7. The front door opened, and 2 silhouettes crossed the porch into the fading air. Her hand found his elbow, and they walked without hurry down the quiet street. Behind them, the house was finally empty of secrets. It held only dust and light. The flyer wasn't a lie. It was a new chapter, chosen freely. Some book clubs are for readers. Some are for rewriting the story you told yourself. The sun caught the one-year chip through her pocket, a tiny star against the dusk. They didn't speak. The silence was the language they'd finally learned, and the story they were walking into belonged to both of them.